seminal leaders died this past week, and both made enormous impact on the landscape of Christian thought and teaching. The Trappist monk Thomas Keating passed away late Thursday night at the age of 96. Keating has been a teacher of mine through his books and guidance on meditation. I got to meet him in person when my church in New York hosted him for an unforgettable talk and meditation session. I helped drive him back and forth to his lodgings in my beat-up Volvo station wagon, his long legs pressed up between his chest and my dashboard. Keating was a pioneer in the 1970s when he helped to reintroduce Western Christians to our ancient roots in contemplative practice. But it grew into a movement known as the contemplative outreach and now has a presence worldwide. It's thanks to Thomas Keating I have a centering prayer practice in which I sit for 20 minutes in a group or alone in silence, observing my thoughts and distractions and letting them go, as you would a butterfly that momentarily lands on your skin and takes off again, or like an undersea diver might observe boats floating by on the surface but not climbing into them. These are two of Keating's images I return to often. And practiced regularly over time, this discipline helps develop a spiritual muscle to let things go in life. Personal fears, prejudices, or falsehoods I catch myself clinging to, or insults or a rude comment someone hurls my way, or even bigger things like crushing disappointments. Keating taught me I can never stop difficult or distracting things coming my way, but I can control how I respond to them. This includes even how to inwardly respond to heartbreaking incidents of violent tragedy, which confront our psyches weekly, if not daily. These have been life-changing, sometimes life-saving lessons for me. And the second spiritual giant who died this week is Eugene Peterson, who died on Monday. He was a biblical Hebrew and Greek scholar turned pastor and translator of the Bible into everyday English in a book that he called The Message. When I was fresh out of divinity school and newly ordained, I had a colleague who every time he quoted a Bible passage in his sermons, insisted on referring to the Message version. And I have to admit, there in my starchy new collar, I didn't know much about Eugene Peterson, and I questioned whether this freewheeling translation was legitimate and accurate or misleading and should even be allowed from a self-respecting clergy. After all, I studied Greek, which for me amounted to a year's worth of introductory Greek crammed into a 2-month summer course. I could hardly call myself a Greek scholar, but I had the fresh face of piety and know-how, and I had been a seminarian at an Anglo-Catholic church, and I was taught the scholarly position that the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible is the most closely aligned with the original Hebrew and Greek. And if you had to read an alternate version, you reached for the one the prayer book smiled on, the King James. In case you're not familiar with Eugene Peterson and his book, The Message, which has sold more than 17 million copies, let me just offer an example or two from its pages. Peterson hasn't been called a homespun pastor for nothing. His version of the Lord's Prayer reads, "Our Father in heaven, reveal who you are, set the world right, do what's best, as above, so below. Keep us alive with 3 square meals. Keep us forgiven with you and forgiving others. Keep us safe from ourselves and the devil. You're in charge. You can do anything you want. You're ablaze in beauty. Yes, yes, yes." As I've said, I knew very little about Eugene Peterson's life and ministry when I first heard this, and his word choices really set my teeth on edge.